On today's episode, we are looking at one of the most underrated English managers the game might have seen so far. And who are we talking about? Well, all I can say is they have produced moments for clubs like this. Cams, who are we talking about?
They call him the ultimate championship firefighter. He has done unbelievable jobs at QPR, Birmingham, Blackburn in a survival mode. And right now he's doing an amazing job at Derby in a different fashion. We're talking about John Eustace, of course.
Yes, we are. And Derby County are fighting for a playoff place. So we'll see how that goes towards the end of the season. But the question is, how do Derby fans feel about their manager? We've got a Derby fan waiting in the wings. We've got Lewis from the Derby Digest podcast. Lewis, talk to us. How are Derby fans feeling about the manager?
Well, I think for a lot of people, it's obviously very, very positive at the moment, considering where we were at just only a couple of years ago in administration. And we're certainly at the right end of the table where everybody wants us to be. There's still a few little 50-50s in there in terms of the style of play and maybe some of the players in the starting 11, but we're certainly sort of building and going in the right direction of where people want us to go.
When he took over, you guys were 21st in February, and now you're sitting in 8th place. I know there's some talk about the style of play, but is it maybe a situation where results over performance?
Oh, 100%. I think when you look at where we were just over a year ago, I think there was a period of time where we were sat bottom of the championship. We were 7 points away from safety after his first couple of games. And to see where we are now, if you'd have told me that a year ago, we'd have been absolutely laughing as Derby County fans. But we're definitely building in the right direction. And me personally, as much as the style of play can sometimes be a little bit boring and a little bit passive, the results is what you want at the end of the day. That's what gets you to the promised land of the Premier League.
There's often a discussion, though, amongst teams in the championship that, are you ready to go up? So if you do end up in a playoff place, do you see yourself as a team that can jump into the Premier League with John Eustace and maybe cause a surprise?
I've spoke about this a couple of times over on my channel, and I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're quite at that stage of the rebuild where you look at the team and you look at the squad and you go, I don't think there's that many players that could potentially take that next step. So if we were to go up, we're looking at a massive, massive rebuild to be able to at least compete in the Premier League. Now, I don't know if I speak for myself or if I speak for the majority of Derby fans here, but I think myself, I would not be turning down the opportunity of the Premier League, not only for the money that you get, but also for the fact of having a day out at Wembley, which is what it looks like it would be in the playoffs. It's one of the best experiences of your life. I've done a couple of them myself already. 1 win and 1 loss, and I'd love to add another win to that record.
Lewis, great to hear from you talking about Derby County, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me.
So, Cams, let's talk about John Eustace's start in the championship. Yeah. Where did it all begin for him?
At QPR. A club that's quite close to my heart, QPR. So I'm always keeping an eye on what they've got going on. And listen, QPR are one of them teams that are known for being quite turbulent. And he came in 2019. QPR are staring potentially League One in the face as well. And the reason why I call him the ultimate championship firefighter is because he came in 7 games to go and he was a caretaker manager. It wasn't a full-time role, a caretaker job. And he got 7 points from the last 7 games. Now, listen, that doesn't sound like an amazing point tally, but with the way QPR were going, without John Eustace coming in and steadying the ship and getting some vital points, we don't know where QPR would be to this day. So I think he deserves massive credit for what he did at QPR because it's not easy. There's always ownership issues. There's fan frustration. It's not the easiest club to work at, QPR. And I think that was a perfect example of a manager, showing that, listen, I can go do bigger and better things,
He certainly handled that very, very well and got the points that he needed to. But then he moved on very quickly, and then he moved on to Birmingham City, which is a bit of a turbulent story in and around itself. He then goes on to the Blackburn Rovers job. What happened there?
Again, another club in freefall after letting go of John Dale Thomason. The club were, they were sliding. Again, John Eustace comes in, steadies the ship. But I want to talk about his 2 big wins at Ellen Road and at Leicester.
Huge
Wins for Blackburn. It's unbelievable what he done. And again, that's another club that he kept up, but he used Sammy Schmodix. And listen, the form that he went on under John Eustace was amazing. But remember that name, because he's going to be very important when we talk about his Derby tenure.
And then he leaves Blackburn Rovers and then takes on the Derby job where he is at today. And as we've heard, Derby have outperformed themselves and they are fighting for that playoff place. What's going on with them now?
I think this is where he deserves the most credit, you know, because as I've been speaking right now, we're speaking about survival stuff, survival. And he did the same at Derby, but now he's been able to build on that foundation after taking over in February and has now got them playing in a position that they could get promoted. Now, if they get promoted, what a job he's done. That is an absolutely incredible job. But right now, you know, as we just spoke to Lewis, there is some complaints, and this is what happens. So you get spoiled, you know, some clubs get spoiled. But John Eustace, he's getting the results in a fashion which maybe not everybody's pleased with.
And that's where I want to stop you, because we need to understand how he's playing and how he's got Derby set up. With any good thing, there will always be a downside. And some of the Derby fans aren't very happy with how they are playing football. How is it looking for them?
I mean, they're calling it anti-possession because, you know, John Eustace, the way they've set up, you know, the banks are for defensive kind of style of play. Now, listen, some people will say it's anti-possession. He will probably say controlling the game off the ball. You know, that's what the managers that are seen as defensive will say. I mean, and the alarming thing is Derby have 42.4% possession this season. That ranks 23rd out of all 24 teams. And they are sitting in a chance, potentially, of getting in the playoffs, which is absolutely incredible when you actually think about it in that way. But that fashion is what is getting them results. So you're a bit of stuck in a rock and a hard place there if you're a Derby fan. You don't maybe enjoy watching your team play, but you are getting results. But I think a massive credit to that is the Derby front line. You look at Ryan Brewster, you look at Carlton Morris, and you look at Patrick Adjumang. These guys are clinical. On XG, 34 goals is what they are meant to have.
Right.
They have scored 47 goals this season, outperforming their XG by 13 goals. And when you look at Patrick Adjumang in the air, a bully. If the ball comes in and a cross, he's going to bury that. 10 goals this season, 10 goals for Carlton Morris, and 5 goals for Ryan Brewster, who's picking up form now. For the first time in his career, he scored 3 games in a row. And I think there's a perfect example of how Derby are scoring goals, but not necessarily creating chances fluidly. I think let's have a look at the 2 goals they scored against Swansea and the goal they scored against Birmingham. So as I mentioned, look, set piece, a bit of a scramble, Ryan Brewster there. You know what I mean? You got to take the small chances that you get. But if you're looking at this goal, you're not going to say it was a well-worked goal.
It's messy.
It was created. It was a messy goal. And here we go again. Corner again. Adjumang, what did I say about him in the air? Absolute bully. Anything in the air and he's around it, it's an absolute problem. So 2 clinical finishes in and amongst something which is an open play creation, you know? So you want to talk about turning half chances into goals. Back pass from Sheffield United. Carlton Morris sniffing, predatory, right there, 1-on-1, and that's an absolute clinical finish. I think the word of today is clinical.
Yes.
Because look at what he's doing there. Listen, this isn't a chance. He turns around, he's offside. He's offside. He's not even in play. And then he gets the ball and finishes. But this is what John Eustace sides are doing. They're very dangerous in front of goal.
He's also been able to pinpoint certain profiles in Adjumang, Schmodix, and Morris as well, and been able to kind of bed them into this team. How has that helped him?
I mean, I think when you look at it, right, last season was about survival, as we said. This season, he's getting results. But, you know, the magic word these days is process. He needs a process too. You know, we've got to give him that time as well, because if he was a Spanish manager at QPR, I remember Marty, when he walked in at QPR, changed it around, a good football, and everyone said, whoo, this is the next Premier League manager. Let's give him some time as well, John Eustace, to really build this squad. And they've got a new first team coach who is there for tactical reasons. They just brought him in this February. They've got Schmodix coming in, who I just mentioned earlier at Blackburn. They've got a relationship. He's got a bit of that, I would say, Premier League-esque quality.
Yeah.
So that could be something that shapes Derby to play in a more attractive fashion. But right now, I would say the part of this process is get results.
Do you think we look down on English managers a bit too harshly, as you mentioned? Maybe a Spanish manager who had his record maybe looked upon a bit more favourably.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Listen, when you haven't had an English manager to win the Premier League, for example, or you haven't had English teams that are very attractive ever, really, there's always going to be a question mark around English managers. Is it fair? I don't think so, because everybody is different. But at the same time, you know, when you look at managers like Big Sam and Alan Pardew's and these type of guys, they had a whole career of kind of doing what John Eustace is starting to do now, and they didn't end their names in the greatest light. So maybe the past managers have affected people like John Eustace, but I mean, I wish him the best, and I think he can go on to be a very good, stable Premier League manager.
He's proven himself everywhere he's gone, so good luck to him and Derby for the rest of the season. And who knows, we may see him gracing the Premier League.
Maybe England manager one day.